Can't help but giggle at that sloth every single time. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Um, yes, exactly as the stream title says, talking about what and things I'd like to see changed. It's kind of a subject that I've been wanting to cover for a while. Ever since 6.0 first dropped, there's been a lot of things that have changed in the game dramatically, and there's just not a lot that people are paying attention to entirely. There's a lot of things that has just outright been removed from the game, or equipment has been changed to points to where it's just not as good as it used to be. For instance, them adding the fourth equipment slot to be the enhanced target info. Originally, this was a in-game mechanic, and they made it a piece of equipment. So rather than actually making it to where we have a fourth equipment slot that is able to be used, this slot to me technically doesn't even exist. I never touch it, and one of the biggest problems I have with the slots is, let's say for instance I go to a tier 8 that has no equipment real fast. I actually don't know. Okay, Bog Whore, here we go. Let's equip this actually starting off in slot number 2. Let's put optics. Okay, so now it resets to the first one. Originally it would go here to the secondary. Put a rammer. Let's jump back to the first. Let's put ventilation on. Okay, so this, they did fix that. A while back I had an issue that I reported that I would put equipment on tanks and I would skip to the second slot, or I changed out the second, changed out the third, and then the fourth would also get changed out. What really sucks is this equipment slot has no value at all. So if it's ever removed, you basically, you come in, you select it. Let's say we're going to sell this equipment. We sell it for 0. And then if we want to buy it back, it's going to cost us 490,000 silver to put it back on the tank. This is something I would like to see zeroed out, because it comes on a tank standard, it's free. And then we have, if we sell it by accident, we then have to rebuy it and reapply it. To me, this is just wrong. If you're a newer player and you've accidentally taken this off your tank and you didn't mean to, it's just, it's a big drawback to the game that's going to give you a lot of problems. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to jump down to a tier 4. I'm actually going to remove it off this tier 4. How much is it? 345,000. That is still a definite drawback. What's up, Puddle? How are you doing? That's right, you're John over on YouTube. I remember that now. But yeah, I mean, you take this off, 345,000 silver to put it back on. A lot of newer players, they probably don't even have 345,000 inside the silver when they start off. You doing good? Work nice tonight? Okay, up next is tech trees. Back in the day, for instance, let's say like the T29, the M6. The M6, if you played the M6 and you were going over your upgrades and you unlocked the final 90mm gun, then whenever you went to the T29, you actually had access to that first 90mm gun. But with the most recent updates with 6.0, you now have to unlock it as your first unlock, which means you don't get it right away, you have to grind it out. Same thing about the Tier 9 American T95. If you had the T28 and you got the final package on this, you were able to get the 120 starting off with a couple of, like, with basically a free pack. And right here, it's your fourth equipment slot on here, and that's the only way to get it, is to have it as, you know, you have to grind out 4 levels to be able to get this. I don't know the experience requirement, so if someone knows how much XP you need to be able to unlock this, that would be really helpful to find that out. Because I just think it's ridiculous that you have to spend all this time to grind out something that beforehand you essentially got for free, for grinding out the tier 8 a little bit more and unlocking that final package. Along with that, the tech trees themselves, taking a look at, let's say, Russia, or maybe even the British would probably be the best example, because a lot of people, they're grinding out these tanks. If you go to the Conqueror, and then you get your upgrades, we're going to come all the way to the very end. You unlock the FV first, the FE215B, and then you get the Chieftain Mark 6, and then you get the Super Conch. thing is, a lot of people are grinding this tank out specifically to get the Super Conch. So now they have 2 other tanks that they don't even want to unlock yet before they're allowed to get the Super Conch. While beforehand we had a splitting tree that you could choose what tank you wanted to get. So this, it's just simple things that have changed that has made it a lot harder for newer players to be able to log on and grind out. I know that we had the multi-time down here, the Valentine, that leads to 3 different tanks. So if you're grinding out the American or the British line, you have to get the Archer first, then the Sherman 3, and then the Bishop. So a lot of people probably want to go after Sherman 3 first, because it's going to go to the Firefly, and then it's going to drop down to the Charioteer. Honestly, Firefly is an amazing tank. Then you have the Churchill 1. I actually wonder, does this go to the Conqueror gun carriage first? No, it doesn't. It goes to the Churchill 7. That's nice. But then people who want to get the tank destroyer to do a cut pass to hit the AT7, it's then going to cost more experience too to be able to do that, which is how it was in the last, with the prior updates. So that's not that big of a change. Now, talking about commanders, a while back, our commanders, you know, we used to be able to put on Sixth Sense, Brothers in Arms, Recon, Track Mechanic, Repairs, or I think it was just Repairs and Track Mechanic. I think we had both those. Limiting it to 9 perks. Originally, I was okay with this, but as time has gone on, it's really limiting to build towards the classification of the tank. It can be a struggle, especially whenever you only have 4 perks starting off, which is the average number of perks that people normally have. So it kind of leads to a drawback. Honestly, I would like to see this jumped up to 12 perks, just to give you that extra bit of comfort, but then they're going to say that they buffed a lot of the perks, which in fact they did. The accuracy perks, I find that they did buff those a little bit too much. It makes it really hard to you know, let people kind of think for themselves and go after other things, because we have people saying that you want to run all the accuracy perks, when in fact you don't even need all the accuracy perks. There's a lot of things that just simple things. Matchmaking, on the other hand, talking about matchmaking, a lot of people, you know, they always say +1, -1. They want to see +1, -1 permanently in the game. I've been talking with Blade about this for almost 2 years. If +1, -1 is permanently in the game, in my personal opinion, that is probably one of the laziest ways to balance out matchmaking. They should do a test run of the 357 that PC has. If you can't end up in a match like that, then it's going to be 6 to whatever the other ratio is for like 9. Yeah, it needs to be like ranked. But ranked on console, not like ranked on console with that 7 versus 7, because that they focus out a lot of meta tanks. So for instance, 7 versus 7, you're not going to see a lot of light tanks. You're not going to see a lot of anything else. Well, no, not by skill. For public queues, not by skill. Public queues should be balanced out between like your higher end players to your medium end players. You know, trying to balance that out a tad bit. But the matchmaking system, it should be the 357. So it goes 3 top, 5 middle, and then 7 of the bottom tiers. That way the bottom tiers don't always feel like they're going to get hit with, you know, always being outmatched every single time they jump inside of a game. They know that they stand a chance because there's only 3 tier 10s in the enemy team, or only 4 tier 10s in the enemy team. And if you can't end up in a match like that, then it should be a 50-50 between either your top tier with a couple mid tiers below you, or the opposite way where it's, you know, you're inside your 8s and you're versing 9s. There should be like 5 9s or maybe 6 9s in the enemy team, and then 9 tier 8s on your team. You know, like, because that right there, it would make it to where the matchmaking is a little bit balanced. And me personally, I would not mind sitting inside of a queue longer to have matches like that. I wouldn't mind sitting inside of a queue for 2 minutes if I knew that the match was always going to be the same no matter what. There's always an expected number coming in, rather than being one of the only tier 8s instead of a tier 10 game. Because that's not fun, being one of 3 tier 8s, and then on the enemy team they have 1 tier 8 and 3 tier 9s, and then the rest are 10s. I actually kind of wonder if I have any screenshots of that. I've been recording a lot of artillery shots that have been hitting me, so I doubt that I have any screenshots from that, or at least any as of recent. So here we go. Yeah, there we go. So there's 4 tier 8s in our team, 3 tier 8s in the enemy team, 3 tier 9s in the enemy team, and then it goes nothing but 10s afterward. A match like this, it takes away because you're bottom tier, and you know that you're gonna struggle a lot. For instance, like this, where instead of our tier 9s, and since we're in a platoon, the enemies also have a platoon, so a platoon match makes us with the tier 10 platoon. And now we're some of the only tier 9s inside this lobby against almost nothing but tier 10s. This is not fun matchmaking in the slightest. This takes away from it quite a bit. And yeah, I mean, matchmaking wise, there's a lot. There's a lot. There was a match the other day that I saw that was just absolutely outrageous. It was literally, we were the only 8s on the team, and I'm surprised I didn't screenshot that match. But being the only 8s in the team, and then the other team had 1 tier 8, and then the rest were 10s. So basically, it was a full 10 lobby, but we only had 3 tier 8s in our team, and the entire enemy team was 1 tier 9, the rest tier 10s. That really took it off. The season pass, though, I'm not really worried about that with the season pass. Because if we give the new players, tier 10s, they're going to get hit hard. They're not going to want to play that tank. They're going to say it's bad. They're going to stop playing. Speaking of which, that's actually another thing I wanted to talk about. Whenever the double silver events come up for tier 10, one thing I would love to see is them lock tier 10 matchmaking. Tier 10 versus tier 10 only during the double silver time. Because if you play a tier 9 or you play a tier 8 during that time, you find yourself being one of the only tier 8s in the lobby. And that's normally how it goes because all the tier 10s are making double silver. So anyone who's grinding out tech tree tanks, they find themselves getting stuck consistently because everyone's playing their tier 10s to get that double silver, which is going to take away from a free-to-play player who's, doesn't even have a tier 10 yet, who's stuck grinding their 9, who's stuck grinding out their 8s. And honestly, I find that the past week, we've probably lost a few players who don't want to play the game anymore because of the double silver in tier 10. So whenever those events pop up, I kind of hope that Wargaming will take that into mind and make it to where tier 10 matchmaking is locked out for tier 10s only during those events. That way the newer players or people who just want to play their tier 8s aren't getting consistently lined up in lobbies that are just unbalanced. A lot. Like, earlier today I posted that video, just a minute long, in the E75 TS. That was one of 3 matches I played, and I had 1 match that was top tier, and honestly that was lucky. Because prior to that, over the weekend, on Sunday, I played a little bit of tier 8, and I just kept on ending up in tier 10 lobbies left and right, and just struggling with my 8s, just because there's only so much a tier 8 can do against an entire platoon of 10s. Your DPM, you have nowhere near close to DPM of the 10s. They're just going to be shredding you, and it's going to be a lot of problems. Up next is... I can't remember what it was. Hold on a moment. I was talking to myself about it just a little bit ago. A brain fart. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what we're going to go with, a brain fart. Cruise, on the other hand, 6 cents. I would like to see 6 cents added as a just permanent implement to the game rather than being a perk. That would be a lot better. I do miss the old commander system, without a doubt. The old, the old commander system rather than, the old crew system. Because you would train out multiple perks, and honestly, it was more beneficial to have the old commander system than the new commander system. So the old crew system versus the new commander system. I find that this one's inferior compared to the last one that we had. Because beforehand, to get... Actually, that's what it was. A lot of tank destroyers are receiving all these buffs for view range, and their view range is getting absolutely phenomenal. And that's taking away from a lot from the game. What I'm getting to with this is just... I used to run on my Shaska, for instance, binoculars. recon and situational awareness. Those were situational awareness back in the day. You had to remain stationary for more than, I think it was like 3 seconds to be able to get the additional 3% view range, or 2.5% view range as a buff. And, you know, for instance, stock tanks, I would run binoculars with a decent crew on them that had situational awareness and recon, concealment, and all the extra bonuses for the perks, brothers in arms. And I would sit back in a couple of locations that I knew I could sit in to be able to scout out my targets, to be able to spot them off in the distance, and kind of just rely on that assist damage for my experience. And once 6.0 dropped and they removed binoculars, they removed all these perks, they reset crews, lots of problems, lots of glitches whenever 6.0 first dropped. I lost a crew, never got it back. It was my Polish crew. Even after contacting Wargaming about it, they said it's a permanent action. There's nothing that we can do to help you with that. And less than a week later, they got me absolutely furious because they fixed the problem that I was having. Because beforehand, it was just an easy 2-button tap to be able to delete a commander. And then they finally fixed it, which was just irritating that they fixed it without ever contacting me back. I even went back and, resubmitted my ticket saying, hey, you guys fixed this, and what about my crew? And they were like, sorry, we can't help you with that. Well, investing 1,500 matches into a single crew back in the day, that was a lot of work. And then just to lose it all, yeah, it kind of sucked. However, with the new commander system and being able to actually swap your commanders however you really see, so like skill swap right here, you can come in, you can put on anything you really want to be able to swap those skills between commanders. I find this to be really nice to have in the game, especially since we have commanders with 130% earn rate. So you can take these commanders and you can skill swap them to wherever you really want to maintain and keep that 130% bonus the entire time. For instance, though, why is this 45,000? Oh, is it because it's 9 perks? That makes sense that you're transferring more perks and it would cost more. 5,000 a perk is what it looks like. 45? 9 times 5? Yeah, 45. That's what that would be. But with the new commander skill swap, it makes it a lot easier to use your XP grind tanks to keep these commanders on those tanks and to essentially transfer over your 3 perk crews to this and then slowly work on getting up the 9 perks and then swapping them out. I do like this feature because beforehand I was saying that the way to make these commanders more valuable, in my opinion, would be to make it to where you can reset your skills freely, because it still costs 90 gold to respec 1 perk if you want to respec only 1 perk, which kind of sucks. And the drawback to this is just, let's say, for instance, I'm actually going to go ahead, let's actually take my mouse real quick. I'm actually going to screenshot this real fast so I can reset it here in a sec. But let's say I have Quick Learner. Okay, Quick Learner, that's a skill that's recommended to get your hands on right away because it's going to increase your XP earn. And then Rapid Loading next. All of a sudden I'm inside matches like, oh, I don't know when I'm spotted at all. Ever. Never. Oh, now I know I'm spotted. Okay. Situational awareness. Absolutely biggest waste of a perk I've ever seen in my life. Will mechanic, because it's literally 1 line only that this perk is effective for. You're better off taking general mechanic over will mechanic because the difference is literally 0.3 of a second. And taking general mechanic actually makes it to where you can actually use this skill on any tank. Or just don't play the willed light tanks because they added a drift mechanic that makes those things impossible to play. Up next, let's say Muffled Shot, which is useless on the mouse. Don't take this mouse build as legitimate. Don't use this build. Off-road driving, clutch braking, and gunsmith. Just doing some randoms. And all of a sudden, now my crew's maxed out. I'm a new player to the game. I took Quick Learner. I have exactly 100 gold because I got some gold from the season pass, and now I want to get rid of Quick Learner. Thing is, it's going to cost me 90 gold to respec that entire crew. And now you're going to find yourself just, the more that you got to do it, because there's a lot of people with multiple commanders that they use Quick Learner on, they're going to hit this wall because they already have a problem because they did it that way. They went ahead and did Quick Learner without really thinking about it. Why do I have Muffled Shot on the mouse. I had muffled shot in the mouse. No, we're not taking muffled shot in the mouse. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the screenshot. Now I'm just wondering why that's there. Okay, so we have situational awareness, we have steady aim. Let's take rapid aim instead. And then I do believe we had clutch braking and off-road driving for better terrain resistance and better traverse speed. Rapid aim is going to be better because that turret is slow. There we go. Now I corrected my mouse build. Maybe that's why I felt like it was so sluggish. But it's just the more that you play and the more you get into the game and you're stuck with a ton of stuff, and then there's all these little things that it's really hard to keep track of. All right, actually, next thing I would like to see changed. Okay, I'm going to reset my filters. I have 403 tanks inside my garage. Thing is, if there's a tank I haven't played in a while, let's say tier 2 for instance, T7 car, T1E6, M2 light, let's say my M2 light. I come down here, I select this. Okay, that is costing me silver to be able to change that. Cool. Let's go over to the T2 medium. Let's come down here, let's select this. I come down, that's costing me gold. I would like them to see them add a feature to where we can actually set that to a point where we have automatically silver selected. Because Blade has actually ended up a couple of times where he's taken these consumables, install for 10,000 gold right here. Well, not 10,000 gold. Ouch. Yeah, install for 10,000. Okay, let's actually go back real quick. Let's jump up to a tier 8, T92. Let's go ahead and take these off real fast. Clear slot, clear slot, clear slot. Okay, coming down. If you have reserves, which I actually buy a lot of reserves whenever they're on sale, as you guys can see my extinguishers, 393 of those. And then a crap ton of the standard ones. If the standards were actually usable, which is something else I would like to see, you know, even if it's not like a minute cooldown time, make the standards like a minute and a half, 2-minute cooldown. I would love to use standard consumables, because if you're not using the premium consumables, you're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage the entire time. Taking this. So prior, it said resupply with silver. Buy for 10,000 silver, which presets it to 10,000 silver. Right here, resupply with gold. It is the first selection, and I've done this countless times because I'm so used to equipping tanks that the first one is always silver. Why is it swapped right here? I now have to go down and keep track of everything that's going on. Go down, keep track. Go down, keep track. Because if I don't keep track, I'm going to find myself spending gold to restock all my equipment. Well, restock my consumables and ammunition. Ammunition doesn't change. Whenever they first did the mouse, because the mouse has got 2 guns, for some reason swapping my guns actually reset the ammunition to gold, and that wasn't fun. So I'm happy that they actually did fix that one. Some people might have complained about it, which is nice to know that they did, because at first it got me confused a few times because I was switching the gun, making videos on it, and then found myself spending 200 gold in a single match, and yeah, that gets pricey quick. So, alright, comments. Zombie, sorry, good point. Can't remember when that popped up. Skill swap to your free crew commanders. Sell your crappy premix commanders without bonuses and make bank. Yeah, Corn, I would definitely agree with that. But the thing is, a lot of my commanders, I was actually kind of irritated because I got the mythologies that they had coming up, and I didn't get Odin. I got Thor, but I didn't get Odin. I got Thor and Loki, but I didn't get Odin. I wanted Odin because I wanted to put Odin on my E5, because that would have been awesome to have Odin on the E5. There's Loki, and then where was Thor? Alright, there's Zeus. Another thing is, I'm one of those people that if I have duplicates, I get rid of them. So I would have liked to see like a trading system for that, but you know, that's just what I want, because I want Odin. That's about it. Alright, all those 2D 100% crews worth 250,000 silver. Dump them for free crews. I would actually, Corn, I would rather keep those 100 crews, because you use the 130s to train, and then your 100s, I mean, what's the benefit after you have 9 perks on it? Nothing. You're wasting 130 crews if you drop your 100s. I would rather have multiple 100 crews. That way you can train with the 130s and use, for instance, speaking of which, Ever since they buffed the Eradicator, well, not the Eradicator, the Demolisher, Deteriorate Tank Destroyer, this thing has been really freaking cool. Not gonna lie. The 265 from 245, that's a big jump, and it's actually been performing a lot better. It's also got a 75% crew XP earn, which is just amazing. You know, you stack this on top of your 130% crews, and then as you guys can see, I've already got one of my 332 commander experience bonuses applied and 743 times 4s that I've just been stacking up over the years and calling it good. On average, I make like 40,000 experience in a single match if I have a good game. If I have a really good game, the highest I've ever seen it jump to is like 70, 60,000. Next up is something that I really want to mention, just because this is something that they did right at 6.0 and no one ever mentioned it. I've known about this for a very, very long time, ever since it got removed. So for me, this is a real big difference. We're gonna go ahead and jump over to one of Slapafish's videos here. Slap. And let's go ahead and jump back to right here to his end score screen. So for instance, we see a 2 times XP bonus right here. That just kicked in. XP bonus for the commander. However, look at the experience that we see here. 8,186. Okay. That's just with the 2 times XP bonus. 8,186. And now if we jump up to one of my most recent videos, or for instance, we'll actually go ahead and jump back to, let's say, probably a match that's been used on stream. Maybe not. The XP gains in these matches are just 2,991. And even if I was taking all my bonuses, because I remember back in the day, if I took, for instance, a XP bonus of, let's say, like a 5 times experience booster, there was matches I was seeing like 20,000 experience out of a single game. That got decreased by a massive amount, and I don't know why they did it. That was something that just made no sense, why they did that. Yep, it defaults to gold? Yeah. Giving away all the good crew starts. Yeah, if I'm going to give away the good crew starts, your first 4 perks, like on any tank, unless it's a lightly armored concealment tank, should be 6 cents, guaranteed. Track mechanic, if you're on a heavy tank, guaranteed. If you're on a medium tank, you could probably drop track mechanic and go for situational awareness. If you're on a lightly armored, let's say, tank destroyer, advanced, like, yeah, concealment expertise, and then, you know, it's just your second perk, you know, situational awareness. Like the first 3 perks I usually always go for: 6 cents, track mechanic, situational awareness. Right there, you're set. Because you got repair time, which is something that's a big thing. And then up next, you're going to be putting on Born Leader to buff everything else about your tank. Just all the basic stats. And then the Brain Farts rapid loading, because it's basically just gun rammer stacked on top. You know, benefits. Really nice. And you ever notice how everything they buff a tank line, they're buffing every tank within 6.0 level accuracy? Not entirely. No. I have not noticed that. But if we jump back and talk about 6.0, I mean, artillery didn't really change. They still have all the accuracy because of the perks. You know, you can decrease that bloom and get closer and always land your shot. John, I'm kind of hoping. I have no idea. Another thing is, I really don't want them to add cooperative at all. Any of you guys looking forward to co-op? Like, are you actually excited for them to add co-op? Your marks will never increase. You're probably going to lose silver every single game unless you're firing standards. And even then, you're going to barely break even. And the XP you're going to get from it, it's going to take 10 times longer to get your next tank. That's what co-op is. And that's how they always do it. Yet the thing is, if you wait till right after the update tonight, you're going to be seeing nothing but bots for about an hour. You know? Isn't that enough for our co-op? 3 in the morning, right after the update's over? It's kind of the way I look at it. Like, each time the game updates, I don't play the second it's done updating. I usually just pass out and wake up in the morning and play because I don't like versing bots because it's not fun. In my opinion, it takes away from the game. Actually, the bots are actually pretty smart, though. Playing in lower tiers, I actually noticed that the bots, the way that they work together in corners, they are very smart. But I would like to see their AI changed a little bit, where one side scrapes and the other peeks around the back of the side scraper. That would be the better way to see that. But they like to like line up together and poke the corner at the same time, and then one gets tracked and the other one's all like, "I'm not gonna help you. I'm just gonna back up. Bye." Freaking bots. They're hilarious. Alright, what's next? Probably this tank. I would love to see them fix this tank, because this is probably one of the strongest tier for tier, and here's why. Your entire top armor is 76.2. Your side armor is 76. You reverse side scrape inside this tank. Your top armor can't be overmatched, and your turret, I mean, you're looking at 298 all around the front, and then 197 on the sides, and then what was it, 177? Yeah, they buffed this to 177 from, I think it was like 70 something. I think they bumped it by 100 millimeters. I can actually take a quick jump over to Tanks GG real fast. We're gonna go to 8 heavies. America. Here we go. And then down to the T32. No live, thank you. So that was actually, yeah, 76.2. So they bumped it by a full 100 millimeters. Yep, I remember that. Thing is, though, this back is only 38, which 105s can't overmatch, but 120s can overmatch this. I think bigger can overmatch this, but since it's 76 on console, it can bounce a Death Star round off of its top armor, which makes this tank really hard to verse, especially if they decide to hit a wall and kind of elevate their tank a tad bit, because they still maintain that auto ricochet and can aim at you, which gives them kind of an upper hand advantage. I've been doing that a lot inside this tank, and I mean, I 3-marked it, you know, so I'm doing good in it. Another thing is, talking about marks of excellence, I'm pretty sure you guys haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. You know that they added the 4th mark of excellence, which makes all your marks go gold. I think that the 4th mark of excellence took away from the game. It has made it extremely hard to mark a tank now. So a lot of our average players who have 1-marked their tanks and they're getting rid of the try and 2-mark their tank, suddenly they drop below the 1 mark. Since they added the 100% for a 4th mark of excellence, it has taken away from a lot of people being able to 2-mark or even 3-mark their tank, and a lot of people just outright don't like playing the game anymore because they don't feel like they're doing enough in a match because they can't even achieve a 1 mark. And it, in my opinion, it really hits their morale for the game. It mentally just makes them think that they're not doing good, when in reality, it's just everyone trying to 100% their tank to get that 4th mark of excellence. It's the entire reason why I don't have a single 4th mark of excellence tank, because I'm not going to support that point of view where I want 100% all my tanks and make the mark impossible to obtain. So yeah, if I 3-mark a tank, I 3-mark a tank. If I 1-mark a tank, I 1-mark a tank. I'm happy that a year ago I got in the mindset of I don't care how many marks I have on a tank. I just play a tank because I enjoy playing a tank and have fun with it. You know, for instance, we got 1 mark in the Capture King Tiger. We got 1 mark in the T-77. These tanks have been out for a long time. I'm not stopping to go out and try and get marks. Don't get me wrong. T-54E2, I would love to 3-mark this tank just because this is probably one of my favorites in Tier 8. But at the same time, I love to play other tanks. But this one, it really stands out because it's kind of that all-purpose, and you can choose to go with two different guns. For a premium, having two different guns, choosing between a autoloader or a single shot is fantastic with the versatility. But the marking system with the fourth mark of excellence, it has made a lot of people just feel like they're not good at all, when in reality they are. It's just, marks in this game, don't look at marks as, that's a good player. Marks, it doesn't mean you're good. It means that you like damage and you like assist. In my opinion, what makes a good player is someone who's willing to work with the team and sacrifice damage to guarantee a win. That's, to me, that's a good player. Stock tank grinds, though, jumping back to that. I really would like to see them make it to where if you fully max out the tank prior, or maybe even bring back the old package layouts where you can grind out a package and then have the next gun in the next tank for free rather than, spending 76,000 free XP to be able to get the gun, which does kind of hurt a little bit. Speaking of which, I actually did get the French Tier 9 finally, and I can definitely say tomorrow, more than likely, I have a match inside this. I'm going to be playing it a little bit to get the secondary match, but it's not even fully upgraded yet, and I've already had a lot of really good games. So I think the match I had, I only had the turret upgrade on it, and that was it. I also included that in the recording for it as well, so I'll be able to find out tomorrow whenever I do that. But, stock tank grinds, there's just a lot of things that they're doing that takes away. Also, removing guns from tanks. For instance, the IS-4 Tier 10, the E-50 Tier 9. There's been a couple of guns removed from the game from tanks. Probably one of the most noticeable ones that has been super limited. You guys can laugh at me all you want. T1 Cunningham. They have removed, I think it's a total of 4 guns from this tank. This tank had so many guns back in the day that it wasn't even funny. And they removed all of them but 2. So that does kind of hurt. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed my T1 whenever I could play it back in the day. Jumping down in Tier 1s and having some fun. What else? What else? I'm getting lost here. I should probably write out a list and just follow the list whenever I have it on one day. Clue, I don't see it balancing itself out. The reason why? If it's going to balance itself out, it's going to take a very, very long time. 2-3 years for it to balance itself out. If they want to make that marking system a lot better, they should lower the 100% mark down to 95, lower the 3 mark down to 90%, lower the 2 mark down to 80%, lower the 1 mark down to 60%. And what that does is, because whenever you hit 100%, you're raising the damage cap to your standard. I'm pretty sure no one here wants to stay caught up with the top 10 players in a tank, because that's literally where it's at. Those top 10 players are competing for that damage to gold mark a tank. There can only be one person with 100% at a time. Clue. That's how that works. You can't have 2 people with 100% at a time. You can only have 1. So that right there, it just continues to raise the damage cap. And for free-to-play players, for instance, if a 4th mark of excellence was 95% and they never hit that 100% cap, which is what's raising damage standing so high, and they only hit 95, the damage standing would regulate and maintain a certain number. But since it's 100%, that's where we're finding this boundary that's making it so hard to mark a tank right now. Yeah, but the fact that gold marks, I'm not even a big fan of gold marks. They don't even look that good. Look at the color of the TS5. Gold marks on this, they kind of blend. It's okay, Clue. I got what you meant the first time. you know, like send lack everything else. If I 3-mark a tank, 3 marks for me is good enough. Gold marking it, I'm good on gold marking it. Speaking of which, I'm not gonna lie, I did 3-mark this with the 8,300 DPM that I had a long time ago. And rather than actually working on out a way to fix this, they outright removed the equipment, which I thought was kind of funny. So advanced reloader in this tank is just gone, which means that it's technically not even fixed. It's still broken. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I'm running out of things to say because I went over quite a bit. I mean, how long has the stream's been up for? 40 minutes, just talking about it. Yep. There's a lot more to go over, but you know, we'd be here for hours if I was just going to talk about everything wrong and what should change. But personally, I would like to see the perk system reworked a little bit. 6 cents should be permanent. The 4th equipment slot, remove the enhanced target info because that was originally an in-game mechanic, and taking it off is just massive disadvantages. Honestly, if we didn't have this, I'd be running basically enhanced gun lane drive or vertical stabilizers as the 4th equipment, which really 4th equipment slots, enhanced target info. I find a 4th equipment slot, if you're using it and you don't have enhanced target info, if we had enhanced target info as a main in-game mechanic, that 4th equipment slot would come in clutch a lot and improve your tank tremendously. But the fact is, we can't take off that enhanced target info, because if you do, you can't aim through bushes. You can't aim around a ridge line through a bush. You don't know what you're aiming at. You don't know if the tank is angled towards you, away from you, or if you're even locked onto them unless their health bar pops up. Speaking of which, too many health bars whenever you aim at somebody. There's like 3 of them. Please limit it down to 1. I don't like it whenever I look at a tank and up on the top left we have their tank pop up, or the bottom right their tank pops up. I find that to just be a useless feature, because beforehand we had Eagle Eye. If you looked at someone long enough, it would tell you what's broken in their tank. And now we have to basically take our eyes off of them, look at the bottom right or top left of your screen, depending on where you have your map located. I like to play at the bottom right, so for me it's top left in their target info. And I have to look up there, which is taking my eyes off of the fight. I find it just to be a useless feature and too far away from where the actual point of focus should be. 6 cents shouldn't automatically just come with the commander. It should come with the commander, but not even as a perk. Should be more like PC Clue. I agree with you on that. I do. Because field modifications in PC, that is amazing. Okay, field modifications, I love it. Because I also play on PC. And once I finish upgrading my computer, I'm going to be going back to PC and playing for a little bit. Because, you know, enhanced ultra graphics, 144 hertz at 1080p, or, I don't know, spending $1,000 to buy a 4K monitor, because that just, it just wants to hurt the bank account all the time. But I want to play games at the best possible settings, because that sounds fun. Actually, 1440p sounds a lot better than 4K. Yeah, the way equipment works in general over in PC is really nice. Well, to a point. I like how they can do the swaps. It's like you end up on a map and you can choose if you want to take a very specific ammo loadout, or if you want to be a little bit more aggressive with a turbocharger on your tank, or if you want to be a little bit more laid back and have better accuracy on a longer range map, so drop the turbocharger for vertical stabilizers. You know, I really like the way that they have the equipment set up over in PC. Nice, simplistic. What was the next thing I was going to talk about? There was one more thing I wanted to talk about before I jumped off tonight. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Yeah, a lot of things are just outright gone. Oh yeah, so yeah, the equipment slots, you have survivability, scout, mobility, survivability. I think those are the 4. There might be 5. There might just be 4. Mobility, spotting, survivability. You know what? I can jump over to Tanks GG and tell you exactly how many there are. Okay, so we have breakthrough. Let's see some breakthrough. 113. survivability slot along with fire. Okay, firepower, mobility, survivability, and then light tanks have. There's no light breakthrough tanks. Of course, there's no light breakthrough tanks. Yeah, you have your mobility, firepower. Okay, so mobility, firepower, survivability, and then spotting. Which I think the medium tanks have the spotting mechanic, actually. Sorry, I'll bring you guys over with me. Should have this to begin with. So they have, yeah, scouting slot. So mobility, survivability, scouting, and firepower. So they have 4. Which, this is really cool that they have it set up like that. How do PC players compare to console? PC, they are very smart. Very smart. What I love about PC is how they have ranked, which is something I've been wanting to see on console for a while. Prior, they had 15 versus 15 ranked. So those matches were really hardcore. And at the end of every single season, there's hardcore rewards, there's bonds, there's tanks that you can buy with bonds, everything else on PC. And the community got really competitive. So, not like so competitive where everyone's YOLOing and rushing. PC community, they're very smart players. Yeah, they use a lot more strategy on PC than they do on console. Especially since PC, they have a chat menu where you can tap enter and you can type inside chat what you're planning on doing whenever it comes down to the last 5. There's a lot of communication over on PC compared to console. Console, there used to be a lot of communication, but with Xbox Live parties, with cross-platform, there's not a lot of people being inside game chat. Ever. Like, I think there's some days I'll play inside game chat, just to play inside game chat and chat with people. Too toxic. I wouldn't say too toxic, Clue. The one thing I would say that's the most annoying is those PlayStation players and Xbox players, it's on both sides, they have the really cheap headsets and then like to complain. And then you hear a fan playing in the background the entire time. Or you hear background noise the entire time. Like, that makes it really hard. But at the same time, there's a lot of really cool people inside game chat that you can meet. That's just so much fun. You know, like whenever you're doing back-to-back matches and then you run into a group of people and you're like, oh, this is cool. I just barely played with this dude this last match and we were chit-chatting and all of a sudden you make a new friend. John, I would agree that console's getting dumbed down, but it's getting dumbed down to a point where it's too dumb. Because they're making it harder now, going that far down, which it's really confusing to say that. I mean, I don't know how far you can go down to dumb it down to hit a wall and be like, it got real dumb. But I guess there's a point that you can try and hit. Like, honestly, I should probably put my camera on because I'm doing like the who knows what rather than just staring at the background like, oh. But yeah, there's just quite a bit. There's a lot of problems that I'd like to see fixed. Super dumb. No, not super dumb. Probably scratch that. Yeah, at times. Matchmaking, though, I would like to see ranked and matchmaking change. Matchmaking, especially, because if they did the 357, and I think it's 357 456, is the other one as well, because there's two of them in rotation the entire time, and then it's either your top tier or your middle tier, or your top middle. It's kind of is what it is. I would rather spend more time waiting for a queue to pop up, than spending 2 minutes in a match and then dying because I got shot at by nothing but tier 10s. You know, like an entire freaking squad of tier 10s. I would rather spend another 45 seconds, another 2 minutes inside the queue if I knew that the match I was going to get into was balanced. That's just how it is. And yet we have the devs who are like, well, people want to get in matches faster. So like, who said that? My Series X already loads in 2 minutes before the match even starts. And now I'm already sitting there for 2 minutes. You know, I'm already sitting there staring at my tank for 2 minutes before the match even starts. Like, what's the problem with me waiting inside the queue for another minute to get balanced matchmaking and then end up in a match that I'm actually going to be able to do something in, rather than me ending up inside my tier 8, rushing out in the open to try and get really aggressive positioning, just to instantly die and go back to garage and then load into another match instantly to go and die again. I mean, I don't get the logic of that, but it's just the way it is right now. I mean, I would love to see some matchmaking readjustments. Class-based matchmaking, they stopped testing that because of platoon matchmaking was interfering with it. Platoon matchmaking was messing it up, and so they stopped. Which, dude, just I mean, because they did the 357, or the 36 brain fart. I can't do math today, but the 357, you know, if you're platooning with a friend and you got a 3-man platoon and you're tier 10s, guess what? You can still end up as top tier, the only top tier. Yeah, 357. But the other one was like 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. But and then there was 3, 6. Yeah, 3, 6 brain fart. Yeah, 3, 6 brain. I can't do math today. It's freaking 15. I should just subtract from it. So we got 3, 6. There's 9. And sorry, I spent too long at work. I'm struggling. I need a little bit of, yeah, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, oh my god, it's so simple. My brain. It's like a watermelon. Okay, it's as big as a watermelon, just as smooth. Math hard. Math very hard today. Math very hard. Man, just hit walls. Yeah, that's me. I'm just gonna go. I got a concrete wall over there. I'll be right back. But nah, it's just it's simplicity. That's all it is. Just balancing out matchmaking properly. Because me, it's like I'm not a bad player at the game. I'm a good player at the game. But the fact is, matchmaking is probably one of the biggest things that I want to see readjusted. Because I think the best example is literally this tier 10 double silver event that's been going on, and also the Turan that just came out. Super broken. Currently, you know, SOD Medhaven, there we go. And this is my last 30-day statistics since I started playing again on the 2nd or the 3rd. I can't remember. But almost 4,000 WN8. However, I will say this for a fact. The reason why it's so high is because of how freaking ridiculous the Turan is. Okay, 5,600 overall over 78 matches. This tank is redonkulous, and I don't feel proud to say that my WN8 is that high because of that tank. I would like to remove that tank because it's redonkulous. Yeah, other than that, I got nothing else to really say. If you guys have anything else that you would like to include, drop it down in the comment section after the stream is over for things that, you know, you'd like to see changed. Me, I'm running out of things to say. I went over quite a bit. I mean, within 40 minutes, I went over as much as I could. So, hopefully, in the future, we see a few of those changes. The crew system especially. A couple of the perks. 4th equipment slots. I'm kind of a 50-50 if we should even have the 4th equipment slot if they remove that. Hulk Smash, math hard. Yes, yes. Hulk Smash. Thing is, I'm not as big as I used to be. I'm tiny now. But, eh. No, I still weigh 200 pounds at least. Eh. Hulk Smash, math hard. That's awesome. So, you guys have a good night. You know, thanks for stopping by. Also, the channel is now monetized, by the way, if you haven't noticed from the ads you probably got hit with during the stream. All monetization from the channel, however, will be used to upgrade equipment. And once it starts averaging like $100 a month, 50% of it's going to be donated off to whatever veteran association all you guys agreed to donate it off to. So, till then, that's going to be awesome. Other than that, it's going to be used to finally catch up and help pay off all the equipment that I've been spending $8,000 on to get my hands on for better quality videos and, you know, better sound, for instance. I would like to get a Rode mic, but those are like $500, and I think I might get one. Yeah, and another thing is, Silver, they're going to be adding co-op bots as well. So, looking forward to that. That's going to be so much fun. I'm gonna play it non-stop because it sounds so much fun. Versing bots all day, and it's kind of funny because the first time I experienced bots inside public matchmaking was in Cold War whenever they first added it, and literally this bot just sat in the corner. He's just like, huh? Huh? Squirrel? Huh? Squirrel? You know, and then he's like, I finally get to go kill base. I go now because they're capping us. And a bot's brain is like a baked potato. It goes smush under pressure. And that thing got under pressure quick. It didn't know where to turn. It was ramming walls. I mean, hopefully the AI's improved since then, but I mean, that thing was hilarious. Oh, so much fun. Other than that, dude, you guys have fun. I'm out of here. I'm gonna play a few matches and be a slacker. Do over 1,000 damage in tier. Okay, silver. Thing is, players who do 1,000 damage, you know, don't judge them for doing 1,000 damage. You know, I don't ever judge anyone for doing 1,000 damage because we all have bad games. I have games where I do no damage. Thanks, artillery. And then I have games where I do 8,000 damage. I have games where I do 5,000 damage. Honestly, there's games that I sacrifice damage to get the win because I go in the cover of flank that I think we might get hit at, but in fact, it doesn't get hit, and now I just look stupid because I'm off in the middle of nowhere with no damage to show for it. Thing is, matches like that happen. And those players who do 1,000 damage, give them a chance. You know, don't send bad messages. Don't send hate mail. Don't send them saying you're absolutely useless. I think that is the most, you know, it's rude and just unneeded and uncalled for to send messages to players who aren't doing really good. Because guess what? They probably had a bad day. Or there's someone like me with hands that look like they went through a frickin' grinder some days, you know, because there's days my hands are bleeding and it hurts to play. I'll still put in a couple of matches and then stop, you know. But honestly, ever since I started getting my Ursarin and O'Keefe's lotion, my hands have actually been really awesome since then. I actually got to thank my community for telling me what lotion to get. Kind of funny how I asked you guys and got it. Turned out good. Okay, I'm procrastinating a whole crap ton. Other than that, dude, you guys have a really good time. I'm out of here. By the way, Strum Tiger, don't waste your time, Captain. That reloads too long. And it gets caught out way too much because it's too slow. I'm out. You guys have a blast. Oh, I actually had to click in twice. This is awesome. Yep, we're going to do it twice. Spooky! I'll meet you in your stream. Gonna come give you crap. Hopefully you're up.